Hey, Daily Dosers, Pastor Hans here. So glad you chose to tune in today. Question for you today. Is your family complicated? Be honest. Do you ever look at your family, your extended family, and say, what a mess? Or does your spouse ever look at you and say, it's a miracle you turned out as normal as you are because your family is nuts? If this is you, join the club. Folks, the truth is we all have complicated families because here's the truth about all of us. We're all human, and as humans, we are complicated people. In fact, it was just the same for the families in the Bible, some of our favorite families. This week, we're taking a look at several families in the Bible, and let me tell you, they were just as complicated, if not more complicated, than your family and my family. Today, we're going to look in the book of Genesis because it gives us a unique window into one complicated family. It was the family of Jacob. And here's what's unique about what we find about this family. We get to see how complicated this family was over several generations in the book of Genesis. They're just like our families. Let's be honest. We pass on from one generation to another our dysfunctions, don't we? Our dysfunctions, they're often like that grandfather clock that's been passed on from generation to generation in your family. Nobody wants it anymore, but you just can't get rid of it because it was your great-great-great-great-grandparents who brought it over from Norway. That's how our dysfunction, that's how the complicated aspects of our family get passed on from generation to generation. Now, you can read about Jacob's complicated family in Genesis chapter 25 through chapter 35, but let me give you a few of the highlights. Jacob and his brother Esau, they're twins, and before they're even born, the story says they fight in their mother's womb. When the twins are born, Jacob comes out clutching Esau's heel in a death grip. They would grow up, and as they did, their parents, get this, their parents would choose favorites. Eventually, Jacob's mother would conspire with Jacob to steal his brother's inheritance. And then when Esau vows to kill his brother Jacob, Jacob flees and would eventually exchange his conflicted relationship with Esau for a conflicted relationship with his deceitful uncle Laban. Eventually, Jacob would marry two wives, Rachel and Leah, who can't stand each other. Rachel has Jacob's love but wants children, while Leah has children, but all she wants is Jacob's love. It's like a soap opera. Folks, it's complicated. And the truth is, I said this already, we all have complicated families because we are all human, and humans were complicated. Well, one way to understand what made Jacob's family so complicated and what often makes our families complicated is to recognize how we often form what psychologists call emotional triangles. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, emotional triangles occur when maybe two people in your family, they become uncomfortable with one another. They disagree, they argue, they don't see eye to eye. So rather than working it out, they look for a third person to sort of validate them. For example, if I'm in a conflict with a coworker, I might complain to another coworker about how pig-headed my coworker is acting. Do you get what I'm saying? We form a triangle. In Jacob's family, we see these triangles all over. Jacob's parents each have a favorite child, which creates conflict between the two parents. Isaac prefers Esau because he has a taste for wild game. He's a skillful hunter. And hairy Esau is sort of the opposite of his younger brother Jacob, who prefers indoor activities with his mother. Or rather than talking to each other, as a good couple would, they each relate to their spouse through their favorite child. And Jacob and Esau get caught in this triangle of their parents' relationship, which only increases the complication of their sibling rivalry. The only thing that ends that conflict, we find out at the end of the story, is when Esau and Jacob are able to do what adults should do. Jacob and Esau meet face to face. They look in each other's eyes. They lean into the discomfort. They lean into what's been uncomfortable for so many years. They lean in and they choose to put the past behind them. They talk directly to one another. You see, it's when we find the courage, like Jacob and Esau, to lean into the discomfort, to lean into all that's uncomfortable, that God can actually heal our families. I wonder if just maybe God is nudging you today, saying it's time, it's been too long, it's time to lean in, it's time for me to talk with that family member face to face, one-on-one. It's time for those triangles to be broken. It's time to lean in. Folks, thanks for tuning in to the Daily Dose today. I hope you'll tune in again tomorrow. If you're watching on YouTube, if you hit the bell, you'll get some notifications. Give us a thumbs up on Facebook if you're watching there, or if you're watching on Cable Access 181, invite a friend to watch with you. Thanks, folks. Have a good one.